on the phone. I'll grab that kid and just keep rubbing that ring in his face.
Work ethic's obviously very important as well.
When it's all said and done, I want 5 quarterbacks.
Recruiting, most important part of the game.
Do you want me to call you Mike or Magic? Because, there's the whole Magic. Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another This, That, and the Other episode. I'm Magic, and we have a guest scheduled for tonight, ebzimny, who is, of course, the creator of the all-new Gridiron Dynasty Analyst program. So we're going to talk with him a bit and get some background on how that came to be and what its future is regarding that program that he created. Before we get him on, I just want to send a big thank you out to Super V97. Took over his Humboldt team in Bryant when he left. And that team actually won a national championship today. And I want to say it was primarily because of this guy here. He is from Benton, Arkansas. So that high school is literally about 7 miles from my house. So Mr. Santiago, he racked it 4,900 yards this season rushing. And, of course, Super V had him doing a lot of pass catching, but I decided to make him a true, honest-to-God running back. And he did the deed for us. A couple games, he had well over 300 yards. So that was a heck of a recruit that Super V97 got. And, again, all kudos and thanks and recognition go out to him for that team's national championship. But as promised, we do have Ed. He is in the house today. Ed, how are you, sir? Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Hey, all right. Good to see you. I know we're having some difficulties on this end, primarily through the internet. I guess everybody is streaming the presidential debate tonight, so everybody is sucking up that bandwidth. But again, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on. And for those that don't know, Ed has been a member since 2004, I believe, since March of 2004. He's got 3 national championships of his own. Let's see, he got a winning percentage of 761, so that's pretty good. So, it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. But, again, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, those good things, as well as the fact that you do co-coach with your pop from time to time, from what I understand.
Definitely. Yeah. So born and raised a Hoosier, originally from the state of Indiana. Spent the first 27 years of my life there. However, I make my home in South Florida. I would say sunny South Florida, but the last 2 weeks it's been raining like constantly almost. So not too sunny lately. But yeah, I've been here a little more like almost 21 years now in South Florida. And my dad and I started playing Gridiron Dynasty together back 16 years ago. And we both kind of took our own teams. But then after a couple of years, I can't even remember the last time I played myself on my own under ebzimny01 or ebzimny01. We just kind of joined up and we both coached together under EZ37, and we're in Heisman and Wilkinson. And we've been doing that for the last, 12, 13, years together. So he typically does the offense. I do the defense. And we've been kind of partnering on recruiting. He does some, I do some. So that's kind of like the mix up. But his combined record is way better than mine. So
now, did you two ever have the occasion to play against one another when you were out on your own?
Yeah, we did. Going back, I want to say he was at NC State, and I think I took it over, and then he might have been at Notre Dame for a couple of years. We played a couple times. I don't remember what our head-to-head record was, but I gave up my own team, 12 years ago. So
now you say you don't remember what your head-to-head record, but I would assume that had you thumped him quite handily on the majority of the time, you'd remember that record.
I would bet he knows. He might know. He keeps a lot of records himself, a lot of handwritten, printed out notes and handwritten notes. So he probably knows what it is.
Well, you are responsible for the latest and greatest innovation to come to What If Sports, and that is your Gridiron Dynasty Analyst. I don't know whether to call it a platform program. I'll just call it a program. It's very similar to what Yatzer did to some regards, but it seems to be basically for those people who are trying to determine strategy regarding when to go after a recruit, because it does give you information that usually you have to go in and figure out yourself. This tool that you have developed really puts it in your face and puts it out there for us to see without having to do a lot of background. How did you come about with that concept to make that happen for us?
Well, playing the game for as long as we have, I certainly, noticed that I would love a more visual representation of the world, given that everything we are presented with is text and numbers, and yeah, you have some town locations, but having to go figure out where somebody is time consuming, and so always in the back of my mind, I wanted to, it'd be nice to have a graphical or visual representation of where things are, but I never really had the time or I guess interest, mostly the time to develop something like that. Lately, I found myself with some extra time. I got laid off in June after 20 years of the company, and
wow.
found some extra time on my hands, and thought I'd give it a shot at putting something together. So yeah, I mean, that was really the impetus of it was wanting to show a graphical representation or visual representation of where schools were in the world, and whether Sims were at those schools or humans were at those schools, and then also being able to take a recruit and being able to map that recruit on the map and show where human coaches were relative to that player. There's other stuff that would like to do from that recruiting standpoint. I mean, Yatzer's tool for recruiting was great, but once What If Sports changed hands and they moved to a new authentication platform, when we log in, that broke his recruiting tool.
Yeah.
So it's on my mind that I would like to find a way to address that at some point, but I right now I know it's beyond my technical skills at the moment. Who knows, what may come in the future if I find a way. But so that's on the mapping side of it. But yeah, the other part of it was really the what I call the game results or game analysis part of it. I just got interested. One of the reasons why I did this was I was taking this training course on my own on the side, and I got into this web programming stuff, and I learned a little bit about how you might go about it. And I was like, oh, well, I needed to do a project for this class, and so this turned into my project. So it's kind of cool. I mean, I got to work on something that I needed for this course, and then I also got to do something that I was interested in at the same time. And the main reason I wanted it to be a web application was that you could access it from anywhere. You wouldn't have to download, another application. You could run it from your phone if you wanted to, or a tablet or an iPad or whatever. It doesn't matter. And yeah, I mean, I tried to style it and make it somewhat similar to Yatzer's tool. So when, if you're using that, the terminology is mostly the same. It covers a lot of the same kind of stuff. And Dad and I debated whether or not I should do it just from a competitive standpoint. But I felt like, Yatzer's tool's out there, and, people are using it. This isn't going to be anything different. It's not sharing any secrets or whatever. And from my perspective, just making that data more accessible, I hope will make just the world's more competitive. That's what I hope.
Yeah. And, you mentioned giving the secrets away and making things competitive. The same is true for this show. There's a lot of great knowledge that comes on. I'm thankful that guys are open with as much as they are and willing to share. and looking forward to this continuing. But again, it's all about helping people and making things easier, making it more fun, because that's why we play, for the entertainment aspect of it. Nobody's getting rich. Nobody's getting actual coaching jobs that I know of. So it's all still, the kinship of What If Sports. And your program, again, has added, or I should say infused a bit of interest. I know I'm very interested in it. I've been using it quite a bit, and it's been very helpful. And let's go ahead and show the folks kind of what we're talking about, that graphic interface. This is my team, Tarleton State. I believe it's in Rockney. And one of the things that you can see right away is at the top, you no longer have to go and do the math to figure out which school has how many scholarships available. All that information is right up there. Also, as far as their positions, how they're filled currently on that roster, those numbers are there as well. The thing I really like about it is instantaneously I can see the distance range from my school to some of the other schools. When it comes to recruiting, that's very beneficial. Now you say, okay, yeah, you know where the other school is, but what about the recruit? Well, he didn't spare any effort. Boom, there it is, a recruit. Here's one from Hastings, Minnesota, a running back. And as you can see on the left, based on where that running back is located, it gives you the human coached teams and their distance from that particular recruit. So now, not only do you know where those other schools are close to you in relationship to the recruiting area, your 180 or your 360, you can also pinpoint it based on the individual recruit and what schools that are human coached are in his pretty much immediate proximity. So that's that's one of the benefits that I like is, and you had talked about, is it's a graphical representation. You don't have to do the number crunching. You get more out of it that way than just looking at a sheet of paper with X's and O's and ones and zeros, so to speak. Now, as far as the time, and you mentioned your schooling project, I mean, did you have any background prior to this endeavor in doing any kind of programming of this nature, any kind of web sourcing like this?
Not really. I mean, back when I did get a computer science degree from my college, but I didn't really go into computer programming out of school. So, but when I had this time on my hands recently, I started to take a couple really computer science courses again, just because I was interested in it, and getting into some web development stuff, and that's really what spurred my interest and desire to try this out. And again, merging the desire to enhance my Gridiron Dynasty experience with moving to do a project and complete a project for the school course was a perfect match. And I want to thank the folks in Wilkinson got an early preview of this, so I advertised it out through the Wilkinson coaching world, and got some people to provide some early feedback, and got a lot of good feedback and ideas on some things to add and improve, and certainly like the circles, the circle distance on the map. Talking about making, I think I just had a placeholder of like 100 miles, 250 miles, 500 miles, that kind of stuff. But got the feedback to better match it up with the the dollar cost increases when you go from 180 to 360 to 1400. Adding the links to the little pin icons that you see. You used to have to use the school drop down was the only way to get to a school. But I've added links to the pins, so once you click on the pin, it has a little link for that you can go to. I think it was Jason Freeman wanted a search box for the school drop down, so you can type in there. So I added that.
Jason.
I think it was him. Let's see what else.
He doesn't need any help.
I told him that too. He volunteered to be in the beta. And I said, yeah, I don't know if I want you in the beta. I don't think you need any help. But he provided some good feedback. And at this point, I'm pretty much done and settled with what I have. But certainly, whatever, I'm certainly open to feedback and additional ideas and enhancements, and I can figure out, what might be possible. So
Now, as far as the site that's hosting this for you, I know that a while back there was some traffic issues with the site getting inundated. What are the plans as far as the popularity causing the site to become bogged down? Are you going to move? Have you looked at that? What would it take to make that happen to get a more robust hosting site?
I think right now, I think I'm good. I made some changes. I forget now within the past week, where you run the game results. If you push the button to say like all games, or push the button for human games, it tends to take about 2 or 3 seconds per game. And if the game total added up to like more than 30 seconds worth of time, it was gonna it was gonna cause a problem with the server.
Mm-hmm.
So for the last 2 weeks prior, I was figuring out how I could address that, and I came up with a solution. So and that was deployed, like I said, a couple, 3, 4, 5 days ago. Can't remember now, but that should alleviate the problem with people seeing a lot of the server 500 errors. That they might have been in the middle of trying to download the game analysis stuff, and it would fail on them. They shouldn't see that anymore. I do have some monitoring to see how much traffic and load, and right now it seems to be okay. But certainly, if I'd be glad to hear feedback if people continue to have problems or they think it's unstable. I'd like to hear about it.
How difficult was it to get that information? Because my rudimentary knowledge of all that computer programming stuff scares me because there's so much I don't know. But I can just imagine that, every time you try to send a query to a school to see, not only how many scholarships they have, but what players at their positions, a lot of that stuff is available on that team's site. But as far as recruit distance goes and things of that nature, those are things that the program has to actually go out and find and then return and then present it in a manner in which we can see it.
Yep.
How difficult is it to get that programming, and how were you able to access that information? Because I'm sure some of it was not readily available. You got to do some digging.
Yeah, so I mean, it uses a technology or a phrase called web scraping, or website scraping.
Mm-hmm.
So like basically, you're connecting up to What If Sports, and based on your information that you're giving to the web page, it's gonna pull back the web page and start viewing the contents. And I know what I'm looking for. It usually has certain types of tags in the website that you get back, and you can use that information to extract the right information and the right bits of data. The location stuff, I mean, I think I've said on a couple of the posts that you could see some inaccuracies there, because I'll notice that when I type in Google, if I type in a city and state name, Google will tell me one thing, and then What If Sports will give me a completely different location. So I think those are pretty rare. The one that I mentioned was there was a guy out of Newport, Pennsylvania, where it was showing up in like about 80 miles east of Penn State, but it was showing up in What If Sports as like 180 miles or 150 miles. And when I looked at What If Sports, it was like a Newport. Outside of Philadelphia, there's like a suburb of Philadelphia called Newport, and they said Newport in What If Sports. That's what they're using, but I have no way of differentiating that, or at least no easy way. So you might see recruits show up in different locations, but yeah, I mean, I basically send the city to a web service that's like a geolocation service, and they will basically spit back the latitude and longitude. And then there's a formula that I found online that you can basically calculate the latitude and longitude between the two distances, and that'll give you as the crow flies distance. And that's basically what I use, is that latitude and longitude formula between the two locations.
That again, that's getting way down into the weeds, real deep into the programming, and what it sounds like is using not just one platform, so to speak, but having to use and merge different sources to get the information and present it in the manner in which we see it. So that in of itself can present some problems. Now, I did notice one issue, and it's not your issue, but for instance, I was recruiting a guy out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, but the S was left off of Springs. And that is a what if issue where there's a lot of schools or a lot of cities, for instance, that have the spelling is incorrect. Or you'll have, and I don't know how this happened, but I noticed it the other day. There was a team or a recruit coming out of a town, and the town had the first three letters of the town name. And then they had like 9782 and then some more letters and then some more numbers. So that's a data entry error in my opinion. And the result for the kid without the S on the Colorado Springs is your program came up and said could not find that city, which should be that way because there is no city called Colorado Spring. It's Colorado Springs. So to those out there who are going to use the program, I just wanted to point that out because I would venture to say the vast majority of any of the errors that come back will be simply due to data entry on the what if sports side of things, because especially when you're talking about towns, that I don't have to tell you, everybody has seen it. There's some weird names and.
I think there was one a couple weeks ago. It was supposed to be Schenectady, New York, but they added an H in front of the S. You're not
going to find that one.
Nope, you're not going to find that now. So.
I see an EZ has joined us. Let's see if we can get him on here. Something about devices not connected. It looks like Ed EZ37 is connected. So is that your dad, you think, trying to get in?
Yeah, but he probably doesn't have I don't think he has a
mic or camera.
Or a camera. So I told him to get on. Then
he'll just have to miss out.
Yeah.
He can watch it on YouTube.
He can.
Well, what else have you got planned for this as far as not necessarily the immediate future, but as your time allows you to think about what else you can make this thing do? Where are you looking to take this?
I mean, to me, I really wish the recruiting, there's just some stuff that I'd like to do that you really need to be logged in to get access to that information. So, for me, if that problem can be solved, then I think there's a host of other things that could be done. But until then, I think it's just probably tweaking some things. I certainly, if there's if somebody has thoughts on better reorganization or better structure of how stuff is presented, that would be good. I'm trying to think of a couple other things on my mind. I mean, that table, that recruiting table that that had the number of recruits. That's really good for, it's static during the recruiting period.
Right.
Once everybody's signed, then it'll update to show that. But there's little things like that. It would be great if somebody'd signed 9 and they had 3 left, that it would show that kind of information. But I don't have a way to get that directly.
Right.
Without logging in.
And that goes back to the same thing that Yatzer had prior to the changeovers. He had that login ability to go in and see what schools had recruits favoring them. So you could, see that number of, Humboldt has 10 recruits that are interested in them. And that's a lot of good information when you're strategizing when it comes to recruiting. But even, the table, even though it's not updated in real time, that information is super valuable. If nothing else, a jumping off point to get started. Could it improve with the back door or the login authentication, making that available to where you could see, that this particular school has signed X number of quarterbacks or they've signed X number of running backs, whatever the case may be, to help even more. Sure. That's real world. You can see that on the recruiting pages. It's always in the news, but here at What If Sports, that's something that is not readily available. So But like you said, it all bases on the fact that you can't get to that information because it is behind the authentication part. So, unfortunately.
There's thinking about the game analysis part. I mean, there's probably some stuff that could be done there. I know somebody asked about whether or not I could like summarize the data in the game analysis. So you're getting into like, okay, how many yards per carry and stuff that people average in certain situations. I mean, people that want to do that now, I mean, you can export it into the Excel spreadsheet or whatever.
Exactly.
You can do a lot of that manipulation yourself. But certainly for me, it would be cool if, at some point I had I guess just another view of that data that would provide that summary analysis. So that's something that I've at least considered, but not working on it at the moment.
Yeah, pivot tables work great for, that type of stuff, getting that data. And that's something similar to what I use as far as, combining that with the game analysis that Yatzer has that's still accessible. You can get that information. And sometimes I'll even do it at halftime, because that's one thing that I wish What If Sports would do is break down those stats based on halves. Or even quarters, but that's asking a bit much. Right now, all we've got is halftime prior to the second half sim. And once that happens, all you've got is full game stats where, I'd like to be able to see, without having to do a bunch of manipulation myself, just how effective my second half adjustments were. And in some cases, more times than not, how ineffective they were when it comes to my teams anyway. So now you mentioned that you and your dad had discussed about letting this go. Was he trying to hoard this for himself?
I don't think he fully understood what I was talking about doing. I was trying to explain it to him, and he just wanted to be careful to don't share too much. But
sure, yeah,
it's all a game, and like I said, it wasn't anything that people couldn't do today themselves. It's just a lot of people are busy, and it takes time to dig deep into that. If you want to read the play-by-plays, one by one. I mean, my dad used to do that. I mean, he was retired and he would write down like stats by looking at the play-by-plays, and but I think you can only do that. You can't do that with nine teams. I mean, that's why we've never done nine teams or 10 worlds or whatever that I've seen some people do. We've gone to 3 a couple times, but 2's kind of been our sweet spot, I think. I mean, he and I, he lives in Florida too, but we don't get to see each other very much. So this game, gives us an opportunity to connect, quite frequently over the phone, at least, to discuss strategy and how things are going and the ups and downs that we experience. So,
and that is awesome. I mean, that's something that a lot of guys whose dads are sports enthusiasts would love to be able to have that connection. That, granted, we have it with our baseball teams and football teams, but this gives us a bit more ownership in that experience. And when you can share that, with your dad or whatever the case may be, that's even more fun. Now, when it comes to fantasy sports, we've had a dynasty football league for about 7 years, I think. And my daughter's in it. She kicks my butt on a regular basis. My wife's in it. She's won the championship 2 or 3 times. So, we talk smack to each other sitting in the recliners on Sunday when the teams are on, and she pays for the NFL Sunday ticket to make sure she don't miss any action. So I'm gonna have to start turning the TV off, I guess, to maybe get some advantage. I don't know what to do, but she pats me on the back when I have a victory in What If Sports. But other than that, she couldn't care less about it. It's like, yeah, What If Sports, okay, yeah. It's your fake guy from your fake high school. But no, it's the real high school. See, the Benton Panthers, that's where he was from. Yeah, I went and talked to his mom and dad. Yeah, that's it. That's the ticket. She couldn't care less about What If Sports. She just knows that it's something I do and I enjoy, and keeps me out from underfoot of her. So, but it's great that you and your dad share this, and you're quite successful. winning over 70% of your games. One of the things that I noticed, I talked to him a while back, and he's always got good advice. How much advice did he give you, or any insight that he shares with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty collaborative, but like I said, we kind of break it down to where he focuses on the offense and I focus on the defense. So we'll obviously pass ideas back and forth on, hey, what do you think we should do, this time around, or what halftime adjustments. That's really how we go about it. So, I think I honestly, I haven't paid attention to the offense. And I don't know. I don't even know how you said it. That's how much I don't pay attention. And he pretty much does the same thing with defense, is he doesn't really know how that's all set up. So, and that's worked out, pretty well for us. It was interesting. You were talking about like your high school or whatever. I mean, I'm living down in South Florida. I'm not a Miami fan at all, but one of our teams is Miami, and it's funny when you get attached to like getting to the recruits. That I live in Palm Beach County, and so if there's recruits in like Broward County or Palm Beach County or whatever,
exactly,
like, I know where that is, or that high school's right down the corner, or I need to go, give the guys some money or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's funny how you get attached to.
Yeah, I've got a high school in Virginia that I graduated from, and I think our graduating class in 1980 was about 150 students, maybe 180 if I'm not mistaken. Very small school, very successful football program, great support from the community, Central of Lunenburg, and it's one of those schools that literally the town, pretty much neighboring towns, shut down when they play. And I was really surprised on one of my teams when there was a recruit from that school. I'm thinking, wow, awesome. Well, is he any good? So I graded him on an extreme curve and got him on the team. I don't think he's been starting very much, but it's nice to look down that roster and boom, there's a kid from your high school. Or like the other matter of fact, right now I just signed a guy for that Tarleton State team that's got the same name as my brother-in-law. Kevin Beatty. So I sent him a picture of the recruit and say, what do you think? Should I sign him? So, we have to attach real life to these people, these recruits or these schools or these situations whenever we get a chance, because it makes it more enjoyable for us, definitely. So is there any particular individual that you and your dad come up against, another coach that really just challenges everything you guys have as far as being able to overcome that particular team or that particular coach?
I mean, gosh, there's too many that are tough. I mean,
I know I'm one of them, right?
What?
I'm one of them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're one of them. Sure.
No. If I put it to you this way, if you have a tough time beating me, you need to quit.
Yeah, you've had a tough go of it the last few times we've gone head to head. Lately, T. Cochran is somebody that he's given us a lot more trouble in the Heisman world at Boston College when we go up against him in Miami and Boston College. We've had a better run of it against him in Wilkinson, where he's at Minnesota and we're at Penn State. But as far as that goes, I mean, you go up against Z32 Fanatic or Jason Friedman. We used to go up against him a lot. He gave us a lot of problems, but then he left to, I don't know if he's in DT1 AA or whatever. I don't know where he's at right now.
I think he's in Wilkinson. I believe he's in Montana State.
Yeah.
And that's another one of those schools he had for 4 years before they were a national champion, and they were when he took them. For whatever. Give him 3 years, and it's game on.
Yeah. But we don't play Seabreak or Charlie much, but I know he has a winning record against us.
Oh yeah, Charlie's tough.
Yeah, those are. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that always give us trouble, or we're always worried about. So, But that's also exciting. I mean, if you didn't worry about anybody, then I'm not sure it would be any fun. So
Exactly. Now, do you guys have any goals as far as I know some coaches, like Mike over at St. Olaf, he wants to try to, I think, get 1,000 national championships or something. He said that one time. Hey, he's on his way. Is there a particular goal that you guys are achieving for?
I don't think there's any. I don't have any particular goal. I mean, gosh, we played GD for, I don't know, the first 7 or 8, 9 years, and I think it took us that long to kind of really get into a groove. I mean, we were always decent, but it for the last 4 or 5 years is really when we kind of hit our stride, and I think we kind of know what we're doing for the most part, and we've played for plenty of national championships, and it's been fun. We're not nowhere near the 100 plus that Ben or Seabreak have. I think they were both over 100, but I don't know everybody else in the world too. So there may be other guys that have that many, but I don't think we don't play enough worlds to have those kinds of goals. I think it's just one, we want to win a conference championship every year if we can, and being at elite, make a level 5 bowl game, preferably the national championship game. But that's kind of the main thing that we try to strive for every year.
My goal is to win a national championship at every level in every world. And my great-great-grandchildren will be using this ID to make that happen, because it won't happen in my lifetime.
That's a good goal, though.
Oh, man, can you imagine 11 worlds?
Yeah.
That's what, four divisions in each world, 44 national championships right there. Boom.
Yep.
Here I am 15 years in, won my third one. But then again, I wasn't striving for national championships. I was doing other things, and a lot of the folks on here do. The national championship isn't necessarily their goal. They're looking to learn development and all those other things that we've talked about on the show in the past. And again, I want to appreciate all those people and say thank you to all those people who listen to the show, watch the show, comment on the show, and definitely appreciate having you come on tonight and share some of your insight as far as the new tool you've provided to us. How do we go about compensating you for that? I know that it's a big question. Some people don't like it, and some are like, to give what you can. So what are your intentions there?
I think that's, if anybody wanted to contribute, that's probably how I would say doing it. I mean, I know they've for Hazelwood and Guess and all that stuff, you can do like PayPal or Venmo or whatever. I do have a paper thing. So certainly something like that would be, about the only thing I would consider. Not looking into, charge any monthly fees or anything like that. So, yeah, I can probably put that somewhere on my website if I wanted to. So I'll think about that. I just really wanted to get people to use it and like it first, and then worry about that later. So I think the hosting service right now is going to cost me $14 a month. Is what it's costing me. So that's not a big deal at the moment. If things go wrong or I need to upgrade, then we might be talking a different story, because I think the next level is going to be like $25 or $30 a month. But anyway,
yeah, just put it on the tool. We'll be glad to contribute. That's for sure. I know we do with Bob's stuff as well. So, any parting words before we call it a show?
No, I just thanks for having me. Definitely let me know. I'll maybe repost the email. I don't really like What If Sports type mail stuff, so I'd prefer you email me if you have any questions or comments, or things to feed back to me on the tool. And yeah, thanks again. It's been fun.
Well, Ed, definitely enjoyed having you on, and thank you so much for your time and effort into the program you've provided us. I know it's been beneficial to a lot of folks, and we'll hope to have you on again soon, and say hi to your dad for us.
Will do. Thanks for doing this show.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, Ed.
Bye.
You've been listening to This, That, and the Other. Thanks for tuning in tonight, and join us again next week.